Do I look like I have hip impingement? Well, I do. Because of my hip impingement in 2011, doctors told me, stop running, stop squatting, and stop moving, or else your hip will get worse. But I said, nope. Instead, I used mindful exercise to heal my body, and you can too. That is what this video is all about. Stay tuned. So what's the problem with the doctor's advice to just move less? After all, isn't it pretty reasonable advice if movement hurts you? The problem is simple. If you move less, you'll never be able to move more. In other words, your circle of movement will shrink until you can't do anything. If you do nothing, your future will be limited to slowly walking around like a penguin, barely moving, maybe sitting and standing with great difficulty. After all, you haven't really been preparing for anything else if you just move less. What you need to do instead is learn to improve your hip mobility and strength. And this takes, you guessed it, more movement and better movement. Take one of my students, Megan, as an example. It wasn't until she started exploring more movements more mindfully that she got better.
I had played sports all throughout my life, softball, basketball, volleyball, and I had tons of coaches, tons of trainers. Not a single one of them taught me rib to pelvis, like how to truly engage your core. So I always had, it wasn't an anterior pelvic tilt, I would say, but I just never stabilized myself in the way that I should have. So my hips took the brunt of the load.
Can I highlight that point because that's really common. It's interesting to note that as a trainer, as a bodybuilder, you're in the gym all the time and you're around all these other people that you can seek advice from. And yet, there was a higher level of refinement of your lifting technique, learning how to fire the right muscles in the right order, how to feel your abs, how to know where your pelvis is in space. And also you had been exposed to some self-myofascial release, some tissue work, but it sounds like when you were working on fixing your hips with our program, it was not the normal tissue work that you'd been exposed to. It was something different, more refined, maybe more in-depth, more intense. And was that helpful for you to take your tissue work to the next level and to refine the way you were moving?
It's what fixed me. Yes, for sure.
In that clip, you hear Megan talk about how what fixed her was learning how to do more refined tissue work and learning how to do more refined strength and stability work for her hips and core. While there are many, many exercises that can be helpful, which is why we have an entire do-it-yourself hips program, as well as one-on-one personalized coaching for hip pain, here are a few of our favorite exercises that you should consider trying out. Now we're gonna work on the softness and suppleness of your quads using a quad baller. You also could sit on the ground, and if you had a barbell in a gym, you could lay it across your lap and roll it like this. But since I have the quad baller, that's what I'm gonna use. So I'm gonna do one leg at a time, working on my right for now. So I'm just massaging up and down. I could get all the way over on my IT band on the lateral part of my leg, which is usually pretty gnarly for a lot of people. If I find a sticky spot, I stop. Become dead weight. I even lay down on my head and shoulder. If I wanted to really up the intensity, I could stack my legs. This is super intense for most people. It's good that someday you try to get to this level because that means your tissue is normal and healthy if you can put a fair amount of pressure on it. You're going to put your shoelaces in the band and bring it up over your shoulder. From there, I like to hold it with my left hand while I kind of get into position. And then from here, I let my hip crease go forward, breathing and relaxing. If I wanted a bigger stretch, I could carefully pull this more, which pulls my heel closer to my butt, which makes it more of an intense stretch. The next exercise is the band hip capsule mobilization, and it looks like this. You're going to step your leg through this band, hook it up high in the hip crease, and then come out and get some tension on the band. The band is pulling straight back, or it could be pulling laterally as well. I'm gonna cross my leg over, get all the pressure down through my knee, get my torso way, way up and forward, and then kind of sink down into the stretch. What I'm looking for here is a deep pressure in the back of the hip socket because I'm trying to get this bone to press up and back into the socket. We're going to do the next exercise, which is heel tap variations. Your core is engaged. You're smushing the rose petal underneath your back. Your back is not arching, it's flattened. Core engaged. Touch either one leg at a time, easiest. Two legs, intermediate. Tapping the heels farther and farther away, even harder. The next exercise in your strengthening and reactivation is either a deadlift with a dumbbell or 2 dumbbells, one on each side if you wanted. Again, your core is braced, your back is flat. You could, of course, also do a one-leg version if you want to build more hip balance and stability. Those are just a few of the exercises Megan used to heal her hips. As you can see if you watch the full video of Megan's story, movement is medicine. So the next time you see someone moving, I want you to think, wow, that there is exercise repairing a man. After all, exercise is not wear and tear if you do it right, it's also wear and repair. And when your body repairs itself bigger, better, and stronger than before. And furthermore, there's good science backing this up. For example, this 2020 systematic review and meta-analysis showed that exercise in sports improved pain and physical function for elderly people with hip and knee osteoarthritis. Of course, there is a caveat. Your movement should ideally be mindful. In other words, we need to avoid 2 extremes. No movement, where you practically just become like a statue, and excessive unmindful movement, which can lead to trouble. Just like balancing on a tightrope, finding balance in your exercise intensity is critical. For example, when I was first coming out of my hip impingement issues, I occasionally experienced little tweaks or little setbacks by moving unmindfully. I even made a video about my entire 12-year journey that you can watch here. My journey was like the stock market. Up, 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 then down, down. Up, 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 and then down. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. However, each time I experienced a crash, I took the time to reflect, learn, and improve. What I didn't do is use each setback as a reason to move less, even though some doctors and experts advised me to do so. This commitment to constant and never-ending improvement eventually led to 10 steps forward, no steps back. The ultimate outcome of my mindful movement exploration has been an expansion rather than a contraction of my movement abilities since being diagnosed with hip impingement, labral tears, and bone cysts nearly 14 years ago. And this brings me to the ultimate goal of all this mindful exercise. The goal is you become anti-fragile. You become resilient. You become ready for the unexpected. This is important because life throws you curveballs and your hips should be ready to catch them all. Now, you may or may not have aspirations of sprinting, cutting, running, jumping, and playing sports, but I bet you'd like to be able to play at the park with your kids or run across the street to protect someone you love from an onrushing car, and this requires some movement abilities. The point, whatever your aspirations, the only way to become anti-fragile is to stress test your body. You have to push it a little bit. You have to take it to its stretch zone without taking it into its snap zone. This is how you gradually become more resilient. So, if you're ready to embark on your journey towards anti-fragility, check out gotrom.com/VIP to see if you qualify for our one-on-one VIP coaching with a hip specialist who's dealt with hip problems just like you. So here's the bottom line, my hip-hurting friends. Don't let hip impingement be the end of your story. Embrace the power of mindful movement, because movement can be your medicine. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more hip wisdom. And as always, remember, you're just one step away from building or rebuilding your perfect body. Let's see. Can you connect me on there?